All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back. Happy Monday. Hello, Jennifer.
Hello. Happy Monday. It's beautiful out.
It is absolutely stunning outside. So let's do this real quick so we can go back outside.
Yes.
Today we're going to talk, Jen, about, I guess, things that surprise people about running a salon or really probably any business. Okay.
I like that. I'm open to surprises.
I feel like it's, I don't know. I don't think we've covered our thoughts from this angle before.
Cool.
So things
Happy to share.
things that might surprise you about running a salon or any business. But anyways, first we always start with
Opening takes.
Opening takes. And my opening take is not every client is worth pursuing.
Love it.
How many times do you see in Jen and I know you know exactly where I'm going with this. How many times do you see someone in a Facebook group that's asking for a stylist to do whatever, and then there's 100 comments saying, we'd love to see you here, we'd love to have you over here, or so-and-so is the best at this. But how many times is anyone taking the time to actually look at the client and what they want in relationship to who you are and what you offer?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just because somebody wants their hair done, you take them. It's not just about getting clients. It's always been about getting the right clients.
Yes.
And so by taking everyone, and you had this problem at your last salon, I think, where you had someone come in that was this business coach and they turned your salon into a salon name for everyone.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you're really hurting yourself.
For nobody.
So, for example, last week, we had someone on one of those pages that wasn't even close to a good fit for our salon. Not even the stylist, the salon in general. She was not a good fit. And I could have told you that in 2 seconds. But anyway, people recommend. I don't know why people are just recommend. They think they're helping, right? But they're not.
Right.
They're not necessarily helping.
Right.
And so anyways, this client ends up coming in for a service. And
it was terrible.
You know, I try to keep things clean here, but it's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
So this person's, they're checking their own formula. They checking their own foils. They want to do their own formula. So she's a stylist, or so she says. She starts blow drying her hair. And then at the end, she still complained.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we have to do at that point? I decided, Jen and I talked about it. I decided we don't do refunds. That's our policy. It's on our website. So anyways, I get this email. This person's not even email. It was like a private message. I just don't communicate well through DM. I'm not one of those people. So I get this complaint and I decide with Jen, I'm just going to refund this money because I don't want this person back. So at this point now, everyone's begging for clients online, but they're not taking any time to vet them.
Right.
How do you know it's the right client? And I see it every single day. Hey, looking for a hairstylist? I'll take you over here. We can do it over here. Come to this salon. Salon X is the best. Come to my salon. I just did that. Oh, we specialize in that. And you're just focusing on like the scraps of Facebook rather than creating, I guess, a marketing funnel. But either way, so our business ended up losing money on the deal because this person was not a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. When you get referred, it's a compliment, but it doesn't mean that you have to take that client. Stop begging for scraps online. And I'm sorry if that sounds harsh, but that's the truth. That's the reality. What do you got, Jen?
I'm going to go back. I can't remember the name of the book, and you're going to be able to say it right when I say this. We had a moment a couple weeks ago, but we just got a card in the mail, but a surprise and delight moment. What book is that from?
I believe you're talking about Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Gerda.
Yes, thank you. We've talked about this a few times, if not more than that, on the podcast about surprise and delight. And Gianna's one of our staff, had a moment to surprise and delight. So Gianna has a client that she's been a client of Hello since the beginning, like 6 years. She's loyal, comes in all the time, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Gianna had reached out because the client was going to cancel her appointment. She's having a financial hard time. So Gianna was like, is there anything we can do for her? I'd really like to at least do her haircut. So we just sat down and there's this moment where you can have this surprise and delight. And I said, why don't you do the haircut? We have some products that we had phased out. Is there any that would help her? and let's give her a gift card for her next haircut, because we can do that and we can make this woman in this hard time still have a great feeling about whatever. Anyway, long story short, she had sent a card to us the other day. Todd had brought it in. Hey, you and Gianna got mail. And it was just like a sweet handwritten note saying, thank you so much for just taking care of her, making her feel special, making her feel amazing. And it's part of, in this industry, like what we can do for people. And I'm happy that we were able to. And I'm happy that Gianna reached out rather than just canceling the appointment and be like, well, I can't afford it. Too bad. But we have a team of people that truly look out for the clients. And if there's moments where we can help them, they ask if we can help them. And that was one where Hello could step up to the plate and help this client feel amazing. So sometimes if you can surprise and delight, please do so.
Yeah, that's great. And I don't have anything to add. That's awesome. I was going to say I didn't know what the mail was because you never told me, but then I forgot about it.
Yeah, I put it in Gianna's cubby and I forgot about it till just right now. But
all right, so let's jump into this, Jen. This should not be a long episode, but what are some things that surprise us, meaning Jen and I and us? I'll use that term as in any business owner ever. And this will, as you open more businesses, if you're somebody that's entrepreneurial, you're probably going to go through owning multiple businesses throughout your life. You're not just going to build one and stop. You're not just trying to just do what I just said. I don't know why I'm trying to repeat it. But we've built, I think this is our third business, Jen. Mm-hmm. But you've had multiple businesses, quote unquote, where you've rented chairs and things like that. So owning a business is something we've always done. And like I said, as you go through, some of these will start to surprise you less, but there's always going to be things that catch you off guard. I think where we need to start is with all the things that don't really matter very much when you're beginning, but you think matter. Those things surprise people all the time. Everyone, what's the first thing people want to do? Logo. They want a logo. They start obsessing about their brand. They start having, I've talked to people in the past that have shown me all these renderings, and they don't even have a lease lined up, but they're showing renderings about how their place is going to look on the main street and how all these things. And I'm like, how do you even know this is where you're going to be? You're spending a lot of money on this artist to have them do all these renderings for you. For what? What do you get out of that? But that's where our brains go to, that this is going to be this big, extravagant, romanticized thing. And everyone's going to see my logo, and there's going to be lights flying up into the sky and all this stuff.
Some unicorns parading.
Yeah,
around.
Unicorns are riding by, and everybody's there's fairies drinking from the brook nearby. It's not reality, but that's what you think in your head. So that's where I wanted to start with your logo. Some other things I would say, and you can jump in wherever, Jen, is things that matter less than you think are your social media. A lot of people think social media is this like end all be all sort of thing. And it's just not. Look at how much effort we put into ours. Nothing. We don't really put a lot of effort into it. I post randomly. To be honest, we get clients from so many other avenues that it's just creating the perfect social media and adding all this stress. I see it all the time on Facebook and other places where people are saying, how can I get my staff to do this? I know we have to do social media. And I'm like, why do you have to? Why? Because you're copying what other people are doing.
Right. I think because maybe a couple years back, social media was something that was different and might have pushed in a different way. But in today's world, you need to do a lot of different things, and social media becomes a dot in building your business, if really anything.
Yeah. No, again, I'm not saying don't use it. I'm just saying we don't really use it, and
don't put a ton of effort into it.
And we don't put a ton of effort into it. And I just don't want to stress about it. And our business is still beating itself month after month, year over year. So you don't need social media. So you can stop obsessing about it. Now, again, not saying don't use it. It's fun. It's lighthearted. It's a way to share information, but it's not doing what you think you're doing with it. Aesthetics and details that clients barely notice. I think we all obsess over that. I want everything to look absolutely picture perfect. And I want when all the magazines arrive, because I'm going to be so famous from owning a business, I want them all to take the pictures from this angle and the lighting and this, and that stuff really doesn't matter. I'm not saying it's not important or there's not value, but most of your clients aren't even going to notice. They're going to notice how you make them feel. They're going to notice if you solve their problems. They're not going to notice what plants you got or what tchotchkes you got. It's just not a thing. Anything else, Jen, to add?
I think what happens, at least in these three things that you've just mentioned, is somebody that's like, I'm gonna open a business, salon, whatever. These are things that they think are important because these are things that they've either been doing and know how to do or can do, rather than actually putting in the stuff that the business needs for its foundational structure. And these are the fun things. So it's easier to put the fun things on your plate than do the actual work that's going to make actual business and that will get you thriving sooner than later.
So I'd actually push back against what you just said because I don't think people know what they're doing. I don't think people know how to build a logo because I see them and I look at them and I go, I can't even read that. Why did you choose that font?
So true.
Or social media, I look at that and I go, these people don't know how to attract clients on social media because all they're posting is, and I've gotten over saying this because when we first started this podcast like 4 years ago, Jen, I used to say this all the time. Stop posting the back of the head and then some arbitrary caption like cappuccino latte foam or whatever. It's stupid. It's not stupid for social media. It's stupid for trying to demonstrate how you can solve someone's problem or why they would choose your business. If you look at any social media, any successful company's social media, they don't do it that way. They're not posting the back of their client's head. Can you imagine if Nike just posted on their social media the back of someone's
sneakers,
someone's back? Here's someone's back, and they wrote "jump high" or something like that.
Solve problems, create feelings, create attachments.
Yeah, you have to. Whatever. This isn't a social media episode, so we can kind of get off before I go on this tangent. But yeah, anyways, I wanted to argue against that because I disagree. I don't think people know what they're doing. I think people might think they know what they're doing. But if you ask,
I think they think those are the things that are going to help their business thrive when they are at the bottom of the list of what's going to actually move your business.
And
it doesn't give your business any foundation.
And our staff still does it. I see it all the time. They post the back of someone's head, and it's not even a good picture. It's like not even. I don't even know why they would put this picture up, but they'll put a picture up of the back of the head, and then they write like, watermelon love or whatever, summer vibes or whatever. And I guarantee, though, if you asked our staff and they ask their clients, how did you find us? 0 of them are going to say social media.
Yeah.
They're all going to say Google or referral or Google. And then maybe I checked out your social media, but it's all going to stem from that stuff. All right, moving on. Here's some things that matter that might surprise you, that matter more than you think. I said that in a really redundant way. So here are some things that matter more than you think, and that might surprise you. Consistency. You have to be consistent with everything. With clients, with staff, with yourself, with whatever, your hours. There needs to be consistency or you're going to have a bad time. You're going to burn out. You're going to just be flying by the seat of your pants. It doesn't work. Communication. So you need to be able to communicate your expectations. If you have a team, you need to be able to communicate with clients effectively. You need to be able to communicate with your whatever support system, your plumbers, your electricians, your insurance, all the people we're dealing with lately, your lawyers. You need to be able to communicate. Communication is super important. You need to have a solid team interaction. So in that, you might look at team interaction and communication as the same thing, but I would separate them because your team interaction is your culture. It's your behind the scenes stuff. We use Slack, for example, and it's your touch points with your staff. The latest buzzword in the industry, systems. Those things matter more than you think. I know a lot of people that we've talked to will say, Jen, I've got all these ideas in my head, but I just don't write them down. Or I know what we're supposed to do. But if you're not writing them down, if you don't have an actual system, then it's just up for debate at that point.
Yeah, we ran into this. We've started Todd mentioned this in the last podcast, our one-on-one meetings, and we go through our systems and things and like certain things that we're noticing, maybe that's slacking or lacking, whichever. And one of our staff, we just were like, hey, this is important to us. Did you know that this was a rule here, whatever? And she's like, I didn't No, I didn't know that. So I was like, okay, cool. Now you do. Now you're aware. It's going to be handled differently moving forward. But these are things you have to touch base and make sure your staff's aware of your systems, your rules, what that means to you. And those are conversations and those are laid out and they need to be clear. You can't assume they just know because they don't.
Exactly. Running a team. I remember some of the meetings and where I would say, hey, this is how we want things done. And, person in the meeting would say, and not in a bad way, I'm probably not going to remember to do that. And then I would say back very just brief and how it is. I would say, then you're going to get called out for it. And then if I have to keep calling you out, there's going to be repercussions. And we don't want that, but that's what you have to have.
And our list of our, Todd calls it's perfect non-negotiables, there's 5 or 6 things on it. So if those are the 5 or 6 things you can't remember, then there's a different conversation to be had because we're not asking you to do a list of 25 things. These 5 things are non-negotiables. This is how you need to handle this and this is how we want this seen. And I do remember that. And then Todd's like, these are on the non-negotiables. So you're going to have to remember to do it and figure out as an adult how to do that. Treat them like adults and they do become adults.
The other thing I had, Jen, there is reliability over perfection. I do not need you to be perfect to work in our business, or I don't need everything to be perfect. I need things to be reliable.
Yes, agreed.
If I can't rely on somebody, I don't need them anymore. Just it is what it is. And that goes back to exactly what you were saying. You just have to have these things laid out. And when you do, these things matter so much more than you think, because when you do start doing them, your business will change.
Yeah.
So, moving on.
And I think it also sets up your business will become, at times it's not always going to be, but more fun because you have these things in place. They're laid out. Your staff knows what to do. So you're not putting out little fires every day with the same conversations. It should be very clear so that then you can do the next step to run your business. Yeah,
that slides actually into what I had next, Jen, which was that leadership matters more than you realize. And
absolutely,
if you're somebody that's just working for yourself, by yourself, you still need the leadership component. You still need to hold yourself accountable because there's no one else there to do it. So it's up to you. Because I know in this industry, we have a lot of singlepreneurs or whatever they want to call themselves, boss babes out there that are working for themselves. And that's great. But if you don't have systems in place, you're going to burn yourself out.
Right.
If you're trying to recreate the wheel every single time somebody asks a question because you don't have a standardized answer for it,
time to create one.
You're going to lose a lot of time and energy and just...
Yeah, that's where it gets exhausting and you see these people that are just burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
You did it to yourself.
So,
sorry.
Why I brought up leadership is because I don't think people realize how much owners' behavior affects everything. And it is really a trickle-down thing. It is one of those things that I wouldn't say surprised me the most, but in the beginning of running businesses or even managing restaurants and things, and not even owning, but just running someone else's business, you set the bar. So if you're not doing the things that need to get done I'm not talking about you're the one that's doing the cleaning or whatever, but if you're not holding yourself accountable to the things that you're supposed to be doing on your checklist, then why would your staff follow that?
Right.
So,
and go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I would say it's also a lead by example where your actions matter. Okay. Then
I didn't say lead by example, but what I said was that. Come on.
My bad.
You can still say whatever you're going to say. It's probably good.
No, that's it. I don't think you always realize that people are looking at you and watching you and doing what you're doing or looking for you to, like you said, raise that bar and then show up at that level. If you don't dress the part and you expect them to, it's just not going to happen. And you could be like, I'm the boss. They just have to. That's not going to work.
That's funny. I had that in my notes here. So I had on leadership and why it matters is you're setting the tone for the salon or whatever business. You're setting the energy for the team. You're setting the standards that need to be followed, and you're setting how people show up. Another thing that I think people underestimate the value in or how difficult it is that standards are easy to set but hard to hold on to. And so you don't want to be repeating conversations all the time, but you're probably going to be repeating stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to set your rules and your systems, but you can't necessarily set it and then say, even if you're someone that does have a playbook and or a handbook, whatever you want to call it, and it is crystal clear and it does lay out all your rules, people still need reminding. For example, one of my biggest pet peeves is when people drop something on the floor and don't pick it up. It drives me crazy. It makes me want to spin kick them through the wall. And that's something that is in our handbook. It's actually a state law or state rule. I don't know if it's a law. It's probably not a law, but it's a rule.
You could get fined for it.
Yeah, you can get fined for it. So it's not even my rule. And I think one of the things that annoys me about it is it just shows like a lack, like you don't care, or you just don't, you don't take as much pride in your space, or you don't care what clients see, and you don't care about the people around you. And that's maybe not even what people intend to demonstrate with that, but it is what they demonstrate with that. So,
and it's our job to point that out.
And if
this is what we're seeing when you don't pick this up, and like, oh, I didn't even think of it like that.
Right. Most of the time, people just need a reminder. There will be times where I feel like this conversation's starting to slip a little from things that surprise you into other topics. But yeah, I was just going to say sometimes people won't get it, and maybe they're just not on your team anymore. Another thing that might surprise you is that your team, and I don't just mean the people that you work in the business with, but your team is pretty much everything. You're not going to build the business yourself. Even if you are building a business that is, you rent a booth, you're still going to need a lawyer. You're still going to need help with your taxes. You're still going to need somebody to fix something at some point. You're still probably going to need, if you want to grow at all, some sort of software or a website or whatever. Mm-hmm. All right, 2 more things. Something that surprises a lot of people out there. Everything is going to take longer than you think.
Agreed. I always say it's a marathon.
Yeah, this one is super frustrating. I would say it's more than a marathon. It's probably like an Ironman. Marathon's not even close. You're talking for some stuff. Well, Jen, right? I mean, you're talking for some stuff. It's years to make changes or the growth that you want to make or whatever. Right now, we're trying to expand our location by adding some stations. We're just waiting. We're waiting on mirrors to come in. For some reason, they're taking forever, in my opinion.
It should have been here. Yeah, they are. They're over 2 weeks late, and no one seems to know what's going on. So and it's just waiting.
And it's super frustrating because there's nothing that you can do about some of this stuff. We're also dealing with insurance right now, which is one of the most frustrating things I've ever dealt with. There's sometimes I haven't even heard back from them in weeks. Yeah. Weeks. I'll email them like 3 times in a row in a single day, asking questions. They do not care.
Nothing.
They're on
Crickets.
Their schedule. They do not care. There's really nothing we can do about it. Mm-hmm. It's out of our hands. Some other things that take time hiring. You'll hear hire slow, fire fast, or whatever. I don't care what your like cliche tag saying is, just hiring in general. It's going to take you forever to just figure out how to hire.
Yes. What does your process look like?
A lot of people
do you even have a process?
A lot of people, right. A lot of people stick with the old school stuff. I saw it earlier, yesterday or whenever, that someone had asked about hiring, and I shared our hiring process, and I was like, this is what we do. And then someone else shared theirs, and it was like, I ask people how they resolve conflict or something. And I was like, that's such a commercial like thing to say. First of all, you're the owner. You're the one that's supposed to resolve the conflict.
Yeah.
I don't care how you resolve conflict. It's nothing to do with them. So it's just a weird, I think a lot of people come from that old school, like office commercial sort of thinking way, or they follow some business guru that's maybe dated a bit.
Right.
Building a team. So that goes along with hiring. So when you hire somebody, it doesn't mean that they're going to fit in. And if you want a team, it depends. So where we're at with Hello is a little bit different. Like, I do not care if you're friends with everyone. We are not family here. I say all pretty much the opposite of what you see everywhere.
But you will respect the people that we do hire and are under our roof when you're working.
You have to be.
That's what's important.
And you're probably going to feel a lot better if you do vibe with people. Again, you don't have to hang out outside of work. I don't know why everyone thinks that has to be the thing for a business. It does not. I've actually never, it's rare that I've hung out with people from work. I think when I worked in like the bar side of the restaurant industry, I hung out with those people, but
more common. I get that.
Yeah. I think it's more common because your hours are literally like, who else are you hanging out with? It's 2 a.m.
Yeah. Everyone else is asleep.
Right. Every normal person is asleep. Some other things that take a lot longer than you think changing your culture or even building your culture. It
Yes.
just takes a while. You can't just go in and slap down a bunch of new rules and say, this is how we do stuff now. Everyone's going to leave. And then you're starting from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
So I use the term nudging a lot, where you have to just make these little nudges over time and your culture will change. But you're talking, again, it's years for some of these projects. Developing people. Oh, go ahead. You were going to say something.
No, I was just going to agree. I think all hiring, all of those things, they're delicate. So you cannot expect overnight to just have these things occur. And you will make mistakes because if you don't have a process in place, or even if you do, those will change and evolve over time because you'll see the holes in your hiring. We didn't get to where we are because we had a perfect system. There were lots of holes, and it was a struggle at certain times where there wasn't a culture. These things take time, and it's a mindset change too. Who you are as a stylist and then you become an owner, they're very different hats to be worn, and it's going to take time to learn how to do that.
For sure. Developing people was the next one, Jen, I had. It's just something that takes a while. Sometimes people don't want to work at your pace. Doesn't mean they're necessarily a bad fit for your business. It just means they need longer. This is where you come in with your marathon talk a lot of times, Jen.
Yeah,
So I think people want to build at a sprint pace. We have some of those people that, for example, if a shift opens up, they want that shift. We have people that are sitting there waiting on Slack, I feel. And if someone's, can I have October, whatever off? They're like, can I work October, whatever?
Yeah.
That's like instant. And that's a great problem to have. But the people that tend to take off a lot of time, block off a lot of time, they're building a lot slower. And Jen and I have decided that we're okay with that. And
if they're a good fit.
If they're a good fit. So I'll tell them though straight up, like, you're the reason you're not further along than if you think you should be. That's one of our rules. You're not allowed to complain about it. If it's your responsibility to show up for a shift and you decide to take the day off, don't complain about your check, because that goes back to the consistency part. It matters more than you think. And some people think, I don't have anything booked in today, so I'll just take the day off. That doesn't necessarily work in your favor because of booking trends that we've noticed over the last year and a half, 2 years or so. You might have nothing and then it fills in last minute, same day. Right. Anyways, moving on. Oh, go ahead.
This to me is a very individual approach too. I would not say for us, for what we do, each person, we have a different plan for, a different growth plan for, different conversations. This is not something that I treat one size fits all at all. Each person is pushed and developed to who they are. And that can be difficult too. We have a very big team. So that means that we are constantly on different people doing different things. But that's how you grow that.
Agreed. The last one in this category, Jen, I had was building your systems. For example, we talk about our hiring system a lot. It took us a while to build that. We started with one. We ended up with another. We tried Jen tried just hiring people on the spot. That didn't work very long.
Don't do that.
But anyways, building your systems, you're going to have to build them to get something in place. The term is minimal viable product. So you are going to just get anything in place, and then you're going to have to go back and tweak it. And that process could take years before you get it nailed down to what is right for your business. And then you really should be looking at it, at least I would say every year, to make sure that
it's still going to change.
Right. To make sure that it still fits.
Yeah, I would agree.
But when you build those things the right way, they last a lot longer and they're more resilient. Quick fixes.
Yeah, and the little bits that you have to change are generally just small little tweaks, not like the whole entire process.
Right, exactly. I was going to say quick fixes really don't hold up over time. They're just a Band-Aid, and that might be fine. Again, minimal viable product. Get something in place and then tweak it after. But yeah, I agree, Jen, with what you were saying. I have one more thing. Do you have anything before?
Nope.
Your growth of your business is probably going to be boring. This is something that's going to surprise a lot of people, because I know when I started my first business, was like, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to do all this great stuff. And then it's really boring. It gets boring. But that's it. That's the process. If you can't fall in love with the process of building a business, building the systems, and you only care about the technical side, like I see people all the time, Jen, that are like, I don't have time to do this stuff. I'm too busy behind the chair. You shouldn't be a business owner.
Correct. Make time. You have to.
Yeah. Or your business is going to fail and you're going to wonder what happened. You're going to be like, but I do great hair. That's not what owning a salon is, though. Owning a
Then you
salon is
should just be a hairdresser.
owning
Like,
a
if you
salon
just want to
is,
do great hair, just do great hair.
yeah, I agree. Owning a salon is a lot more than doing great hair. It's nothing to do with hair, to be honest. It's building relationships. It's building a clientele for your staff and your brand. It's building a brand. It's building all these things. It's really doing hair is at the bottom of owning a salon's list. That's one of the last things that you should be really focused on.
Right.
Small decisions repeated over time is something that I think surprises people. It's not this one big sexy thing that you're going to do. It's just not. That goes back, what was I talking about? Unicorns and, all the lights were going to shine. There's going to be glitter. You're going to have this grand opening and then every day is going to be like that. Nope. Now you might have a grand opening and that might be cool. You might have glitter, might have some balloons and people will bring you flowers and stuff and you'll feel like a superstar, but that's going to wear off. And then you go into what's called a few months or a few years down the line into that messy middle part of your business where you're like, what am I supposed to be doing?
You got lots of work to do.
Yeah, I'm doing all the hair I can do. It's not growing. Yeah, because doing hair is not your business. It's not your business.
Right.
It's all the little things. It's the consistency, the leadership, the decisions, building habits for yourself. Because that's, like we mentioned earlier, leadership.
I would say,
Go ahead. I'm just reiterating what we talked about, and then we can.
I would say too, one of the things that would surprise you is you have to take your emotions out of it. Most people are super emotional people, right? So you're going to be like, I feel for these people, or what I see, I don't want to grow someone. They're just going to leave. You're going to have to get over your ego and your emotions in this, because in order to have a successful team and build a culture, you're going to have to put in effort all the time, every day. And yes, people will leave. But if you can show them different things, do what we're saying, you'll get more long-term people. But there's a consequence to everything. Like, you're still going to have to do it and you need to take your emotions out of it.
Well, build a business that gives them a reason to stay.
Exactly. I guess that's where I was going, but I couldn't find the words.
That's okay. I got you. Why we're partners here.
Thanks. Yep.
I guess that's really it. I think the things that probably surprise us in business are things that are usually like simple and hard. And it's being able to have the difficult conversations, being able to say, hey, I need you to come in on time, because it feels disrespectful when you don't. That's not easy to say to somebody. You don't want to hurt their feelings, especially when some people, they just are late people. Now, I'm not saying you accept that when I say, oh, it's just this person's just this. No,
they can be like that in every other aspect of their life, just not this one.
Correct. It can be like every other, just not at Hello or at your business, because when you start accepting that, then anyways, that's a rabbit hole. I keep getting sucked down these little rabbit holes, but
yeah.
Anyway, I think these things are going to surprise people when they open a business. And then again, as I said in the beginning, when you start to move through, if you're on your second, third, fourth, fifth business, you're not going to be surprised that a logo isn't as important anymore, because you've already been through it. But new things will come up. Something that surprised me, I would say recently, Jen, was insurance. I've never dealt with insurance for a business before on that level, where we're talking into the tens and tens of thousands, like just a lot of money. Okay. So I had never dealt with that. And it was a surprise to me. It's still a surprise. It's a surprise that how
nobody gets back to you.
And there's very little guidance and you have to figure things out on your own and whatever. Hopefully no one has to deal with that, but that's a good reminder for people, if you don't have insurance, to get some,
and make sure it's good.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it. That's good. We went way longer than I wanted to go. All right. Bye, everyone.
Have a great day.